like I say, it's like most everything out here is good for them. We know not to cut wild azalea and give it to them, but that's a precious player in the woods, and if it's in any high concentration, of course, we're going to fence it off or avoid it. We're just definitely not going to subject goats to it. They kind of know they don't want it, but you don't want to force them into an area and get them hungry where there's a bunch of that. There's very few poisonous plants. Of course, there's things like yellow jasmine, the vine that grows everywhere, but they're not going to eat that. And we systematically, eliminate it here and there. Just definitely when I'm cutting certain trees, I'll end up with some. Right here. That's the yellow jasmine. It's got the typical purplish vine, very strong string of a vine, and those long oblong leaves. We'll always pull that out. We'll never give that to the goats. Wrapped around some tree branch, and we do our share of unraveling, folks. We do. Now this vine, on the other hand, this laurel greenbrier, well, this is just a delicacy to them. They love it. So that gets to them. So whatever environment you're in, you got to know what's there, what you're going to feed the goats, and you become their caretaker, and you trim these things for them. And, okay, so why don't they just go out and eat it themselves? Well, they do. They do. When you've got enough land and enough fencing and rotation, and you can move them in there and they can trim what they can access. But then there's the other 95% of the plant that's going up above their heads. So there's great opportunity to harvest and feed them. And a lot of the year, we've got them in certain lockdown areas for breeding purposes. In the winter, it's like everything's dormant. We're often locking them down, and a lot of feed they get is cut. It's cut from those trees and administered by us. We try to grow as much as we can. Winter crops that actually grow in this part of the world. Turnips are green all the way through December, January. You could grow enough turnips and they could have enough greens just from that if you grow enough of them. There's certain things that grow here. Well, here's winter grasses and forbs and things that come in the early spring, and all the bahia grass and some other native grasses that are dormant. So it's a game, but it's the game of life, folks. These are domesticated to a certain extent. They've evolved with humans, but they're still eating in their best lives. They're eating like a deer out there, eating like a wild animal. They love to nibble on them leaves. Right, Magna? All right. Here's some sparkleberry here. Nice, succulent little leaves. Little blueberry leaves for the goats. All right, folks, I am going to give them the rest of these branches here and get in and do a little treatment to two of the goats here. Kind of a proactive, preventative in one sense, but in another sense, there's already a little bit of a sign on these two goats of a potential pink eye. Horrible. We've never had it in years, but recently it's cycled through quite a few goats. It kind of passes like a cold, but we treat it, okay? There's antibiotics that should be administered to save them. This little girl right here, this La Mancha girl, she's been affected by it for a while now. She's looking strong today. It messes with her eyes. They can't even see for a short while. So it's quite a thing to reckon with. Gone through 250 milliliters of oxytetracycline, 200 milligram per dose. What is it, 200 milligram per cc? I can't remember what the dosage is, but it's We got another older bottle. It's 100 milligram. It's half the concentrate. But we're going through that stuff. We got to get more because that pink eye is just something that just expensive in that sense, folks. All right, so we got all the greens off. Let's get the paper towels and some little alcohol and water. We wipe it off their faces, wipe the tears, wipe the stuff that spreads, and clean them off a little. And let's see, I gotta make sure I got the right syringe here. Oh, it's work, folks. You don't raise goats unless you get down and dirty with these things. You just got to. You got to know what you're doing. You got to study all the practices, and you got to be careful because you can make a wrong move. You got to become skilled. You got to study what the medical people study and be as good or better than them. Better than many. They don't know goats for the most part, and so you got to be better than the best of them. All right, folks. Let's get to work treating a couple of these guys. And then we'll get back to other chores at the other property. How you doing, little Esperanza? That hit her pretty hard. Poor thing, she's been so healthy, and then all of a sudden she's got to deal with this thing where, you know, she can't see and she's disoriented and all, and she's a little angry about it all. She doesn't, you know, she's used to being so happy and healthy. Everybody else comes over here thinking I might have feed, but she's over there eating good. Good, let's just take a quick look at her eyes. Okay. That eye is still quite a bit messed up there. I'll clean the gunk off from it here shortly. Yep. Alright, this one's not as bad, but let's clean her up and get her another dose of antibiotics, and I'm going to give Magnar a little. He started to show a couple tears, and I want to kind of catch it in the bud with him. Everybody else looks okay though, right? None of these other guys got any problems, right? Look at this little sweetie.